Hey guys, this is MacHeads 101, and today I'm going to be talking about the most recent Apple keynote event that happened today, September 9, 2014. And in this keynote event, Apple introduced a couple things. They introduced the new iPhones, Apple Pay, and the Apple Watch. So I'm going to be discussing these introductions in that order. So first there was the iPhones. They introduced the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. Both of these phones have larger displays than the previous iPhone 5 and iPhone 5S screens. But the iPhone 6 Plus actually has an even bigger one than the iPhone 6, which allows for sometimes there's more that you can show on the display. For example, you can actually put the home button in a landscape mode like you can on an iPad, and you can see everything horizontally with your dock on the right. Things like that. Both of these phones actually have a slightly better camera. You know, there's faster focus, things like that. And both of these phones have been, they try to optimize the usage for one hand. You know, sometimes you try to use it with one hand, and although you can do a lot of things like text with one hand, some things are harder to do. So they try to optimize usage. So since the phones are larger and they're trying to optimize usage, one thing that they did is they actually moved the sleep-wake button from the top to the side. So instead of having to go like that, you can just go like that. Another thing they did is they made it so that way, let's say your phone's in your hands and you're trying to reach something on the top of the display. Well, here I can do it pretty easily, but maybe if my display were a little bit bigger, I'd have some trouble. So what you can do is you can actually double tap on the home button, not press, but tap, and the top of the display will come down and you'll be able to access it on the bottom and then push it back up. Things like that. And so there were a lot of minor updates to the iPhone, and it's going to come with iOS 8, of course, and the phones are thinner, you know, new design, things like that. Next, I'm going to talk about Apple Pay. Apple Pay is supposed to replace your wallet, and I think that's a little ambitious, but I'll talk about why in a second. So Apple Pay is a technology that uses NFC for secure payment technology. It's been in a lot of Android phones, and now it's going to be in the new iPhones. And the way Apple Pay works is you connect it with your credit card. And it works right now in the U.S. with major credit card companies, the three major ones: Visa, MasterCard, and I think American Express. And so you can take a picture of your credit card and everything. And when you pay, if the vendor uses this technology, what you do is you just put your phone against the reader, and instead of swiping your credit card, it just uses that. So the vendor actually can't see your information, and Apple also can't see your information. They can't see what you bought, how much you paid for it, or where you bought it. They don't see any of that. And it actually doesn't even give the vendor your credit card number. The way it works is it makes a temporary number for one purchase. So so if that number is found somehow, it can't be used again. So that's how Tim Cook described it. And another thing is, if you lose your phone, it's not like you lose your wallet, because you can actually just cancel. You can cancel the mobile payments that have been done since you lost your phone. Now, I think that it is possible for this app or this technology to replace credit cards, because you know it actually is more convenient, in my opinion, to put your phone up to an NFC reader. Then to give them your credit card, and then if that doesn't work, give them another credit card, show them ID, enter in a PIN number. But it's not more convenient than cash, in my opinion. For example, you know, sometimes Alex owes me some cash. I have to give Alex some cash, and right now, if there's no credit cards, I think cash is more convenient. You know, I could give money to Alex through PayPal, but that requires, you know, signing in and, you know, sending an amount of money. But I think that the NFC technology could be expanded to work with cash. For example, I just put my phone against Alex's phone. There we go. I gave him $5 instead of having to. I think that actually could be more convenient than pulling out my wallet and handing him $5. but they didn't incorporate that. So right now, I think that there is room for improvement, and that it definitely could theoretically replace credit cards, but not replace wallets, like they said, because cash is too important right now, and cash right now is more easy to use than this technology, which doesn't work with cash. And I think PayPal and other services are not the simplest for cash payments. Next is the iWatch, and the iWatch, although it might be the best smartwatch at the current time, I don't think it's. I have mixed feelings about it. So I'll talk about my feelings about it after I talk about basically what the iWatch is and how it works. So the iWatch, the first thing they talked about was the crown. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the crown of a watch is a little dial on the side that you just spin. You know, usually you can adjust the time or something. Let me see the watch right here. Yeah. So this right here, that's the crown. So Apple came out with the digital crown. So the digital crown, basically what they said is, although the screen is touchscreen, you know, you can do things like swipe and scroll and well, not scroll, but the screen is touchscreen. But they said for the most part they want people to use the digital crown to scroll and things like that, because the screen is very small. So if you were to zoom in on something with both your fingers on the display, then actually you wouldn't actually see much of the display. So they have you to use the crown instead. I think that makes sense. And there actually is another button on the side of the device, and that button I don't necessarily. I do think that there should be more than one button, because you know, you can go out and put more software on it that replaces the functionality of the button. But right now, what the button does is, if I understand correctly, all your favorite friends you can bookmark them with, and you can see them with that button, and then you can send them a message, or you can send them a doodle, different things like that. And I don't think that that's technology that deserves its own button. You know, maybe an app could be done for that instead of a button, especially because if that technology only works with other people with Apple Watches, then pretty much, if I were to go out and buy an Apple Watch when it came out, I'd be pretty much the only one to have one. It's like when the iPhone first came out. So I'd have a whole button that is essentially useless on the side of the device, one of two buttons. Next, I'm going to talk about fitness. They did seem to really put a lot of effort into putting fitness on the watch. There's actually cameras in the back of the watch. They're not picture cameras, but they're cameras that look at your wrist. And somehow it can, and different sensors, and somehow it can use that technology to see your heartbeat, see different things, how much you ran that day, things like that, your pulse. So that's pretty cool. And then for charging, I don't know how good the battery life is, but they made it look like you have something like the MagSafe adapter, but a really big one, and it doesn't matter which direction you put it, as long as you put it on the back of the watch. But you are going to have to take off your watch probably at the end of the day and just charge it. So unlike other watches where there actually is wireless charging, I don't think that was the best solution. Because I don't know if everyone's going to want to take off their watch at the end of the day every day, and then you might not want to put it back on. So I don't know. I think personally you want people to keep your watch on your wrist. So the president of the watch team, when he was first doing the demo, he's like, okay, and I'm going to pair this with my iPhone because I need to do that. And I wasn't sure what he meant by that, but it sounded like a lot of the functionality of the watch, maybe like music or messaging, doesn't work unless you have your iPhone with you. You know, like it said, I'm getting Wi-Fi and I'm getting service off of my iPhone. So I bet that the device has its own Wi-Fi. I'm actually making this video right after the keynote, and I couldn't look up more information because Apple didn't update their website yet. But what I'm saying is, if the device only works with an iPhone, I think that that's actually a bad idea, because first off, not everyone has iPhone. Some people use Android. And second off, if the device only works with iPhone, that means you also have your iPhone in your pocket. So while it might be more convenient to look at your watch to see the time, other things like sending someone a message might be more convenient to just spend 1 extra second to pull out your phone from your pocket, and then you would be able to send the message twice as fast. So things like that, I didn't think it made sense to only work with an iPhone, especially because if it needs to work with iPhone, then someone will be more willing to pull out their iPhone because they definitely have it on them. So I thought that was a little strange. The device also supports mobile payments, the Apple Pay technology, which I was thinking to myself, all right, if they don't make it support that would be kind of strange, because they were making such a big deal about how people have to pull out their credit card from their wallet to pay, but if you also have to pull out your phone from your pocket to pay. So if you can't just pay with your watch, that would be a little strange. So I was kind of expecting that one. And then they went on to talk about the wristbands. So they have different wristbands for different styles. They have the metal wristbands, the leather wristbands, different ones. They have the ones for they call them I forgot what they call them, but they're like for sports, like the sports style ones. And the wristbands are actually replaceable. You can take them off. So you're probably gonna see third party vendors making their own wristbands, which is pretty cool. And the iWatch actually comes in different models, and I think they did this because a lot of people who wear watches, they wear it as like jewelry. Like they like to wear diamond watches, gold watches. So there is a gold model, although I don't know how much it makes sense with a smartwatch, because something like your iPhone, people replace every couple years. But if I were to go out and buy a Rolex, the value of my Rolex today would be the same essentially as the value of my Rolex 10 years from now. Those don't really change in value. So something like the iWatch, where I can actually see that they left out some things, like you can't take a picture with it, things like that. So I expect that they're going to be releasing one about as frequently as they update their iPods, their Macs, their iPhones. So if you buy a golden model, while the gold is probably going to go up in value, the device itself is going to go down in value, and no one's going to buy it off of you and melt off the gold to make a ring out of. So the device itself is going to go down in value. So I do see why they have golden models to appeal to higher end customers, but what I was actually thinking about this the other day, because if let's say smartwatches become popular, watches like Rolex and things like that, those aren't gonna die out, But I don't think that Rolexes are gonna make watches that people are gonna replace every couple years. So the way I think it's gonna play out is, people who are like really into technology are gonna get iWatches or Apple Watches, and no one else is. And then eventually, a lot of people are gonna get smartwatches, the way a lot of people got smartphones, but I think the way higher end watches that aren't smart are gonna work is not that many people wear like these $20,000 watches every day. So even if they have less technology, people are still gonna wear them on occasions. If they go to a nice restaurant and stuff, where they're not actually gonna be using apps on their watch. They're just wearing it to impress people. But overall, if they might be wearing a smartwatch, or maybe, yeah. So that's how I think it's going to play out. But I definitely did see how Apple, I don't know, like when the iPhone first came out, don't get me wrong, I was impressed with the entire phone, but I was wondering why they didn't include 3G technology in it. And I thought to myself, it's probably because they included so much technology, they wanted some room to update it. And then, the next iPhone, pretty much the only difference was it had 3G. So things like this, like the iWatch, I did think that the style looked real nice, like a real simple design, but it didn't look that thin to me. There was no camera. I don't know if there was a built-in speaker. So things like that, it just looked like Apple was trying to keep room for improvements and updates, so they can update it a year from now. And that makes sense, because with the iPhone, Apple had a huge head start. It was the first of its kind. So like the Android operating system didn't even exist at the time. So not only were there not other smartphones like it, but there wasn't an operating system for the companies to be putting on these phones. But now Apple already has competitors. You know, there already are some smartwatches. Maybe they're not as smart, but there already are smartwatches. And, you know, Google already released an operating system for watches. So I don't think it's going to be that long till you see, you know, other watches that are actually equivalent to the iWatch or the Apple Watch. So I don't know. Things like that, you know, because I do understand that the watch is definitely better than any other watch in terms of its functionality and stuff. But if you have to have your phone on you while you're using it, then, you know, there's a limit to how much time someone's going to spend in an app on their watch. You know, if maybe to send a quick message or a doodle to a friend, but you know, if you're gonna want to check your email, well, it didn't look like you could check your email, but if you're gonna like want to update your Facebook status, you might be really motivated to pull out your phone instead of your watch, because even though you have to spend an extra second taking out your phone, you get so much more functionality out of the Facebook app for phone than Facebook's. Well, they're probably going to make an app for the watch. So things like that. So I don't know how much it's going to catch on for major functionality, but in terms of a watch and, you know, just sending messages, like seeing a GPS, I do think it's going to be pretty useful. And I do think that smartwatches are going to be, you know, the next big thing in technology, where not necessarily this Apple Watch is going to be what everyone's going to be wearing, but I do think that maybe in the next 10 years, you know, how everyone moved from regular phones to smartphones, I see a lot of people, in my opinion, are going to start wearing smartwatches in the future. So that was a basic summary about what happened in this keynote event, as well as my opinions. Feel free to comment your opinions. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, I'd like to hear some feedback. Anyways, thank you for watching MacHeads 101. Feel free to subscribe to this channel for future updates. And yeah, go ahead, like this video if you want. Have a nice day and goodbye.